forward and cheer on the 28 teams that make up this year's HSBC Sevens World Series here in Hong Kong. Good chance to remind you as you watch these pictures as well that, of course, 97 days away from the 2013 Rugby World Cup in Moscow. And don't forget, if you want to get in contact with any of the commentators or you want to post any of your comments, you can do that through Twitter at the IRB Sevens. Of course, Al Caravalli's on there as well. What's your tag there, Al? At Al Caravalli?
Very simple, at Al Caravalli.
All right, you can add Willie Lose. Yeah, exactly. You can send us a message if you want. And don't forget the hashtag HK7s for the try of the tournament. All of the feedback is very much welcomed and appreciated.
How many kids do you think are out here, Willie?
I've got to say, there's got to be at least 1,500, 2,000.
There's a nice picture, as you were saying, Willie, underneath the scoreboards, the big screens, the famous South Stands, and it's at capacity.
Well, it's been at capacity since about 9:05 this morning, local time. Just coming up to around 2:15 here in the afternoon. I know it's the early hours of the morning in different parts of the world, or late evening or afternoons as well, so hope you're enjoying the coverage. It's an absolute pleasure and thrill for us to be bringing it to you.
And last out we have Michael Singh.
So there are the scenes here at the SoCompo Stadium. Marvellous to see. We're going to take a break for around 50 minutes and then we're back to bring you more action of day 2 here at the HSBC 7 Series in Hong Kong.
Sam's dying in there.
Must be weird not knowing who you are. What if you were some kind of bad guy?
You heal people, you never eat. Part of me always believed that you'd come back.
Monday night, Supernatural at 8:30 on Pearl.
The tyres on this car are filled with nitrogen.
An instrument of speed.
Just mind-boggling.
And a peculiar project.
This is the economy section.
That's a complete waste of time.
The train's on fire. Bye!
Monday, Top Gear at 9:30 on Pearl.
呢個就係我嘅老婆大人啦。結婚相，我哋下年影多輯。唔識㗎。真嘅。我真係唔明你點解買咁大張 sofa 嘅真係。嚇？你咁都唔明㗎？你第日瞓廳嗰時。
On July 9th, 2002, Mr. Lee crashed his car while speeding and put his wife in a coma.
A Michelin star chef and his modern Middle Eastern dishes. The latest suitcase and luggage that can really go the distance. Also, interior design ideas for mid-level dwellers. Plus, eco-friendly outdoor gear. Thursday night, Dolce Vita at 10 on Pearl.
And welcome back to the Hong Kong Sevens. As you can see going on behind us, the March Past is now taking place. Andrew Chambers, perhaps a chance for us to reflect on what's been going on this morning. And really, very much it's been a day of upsets. Let's start off with Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, Scotland beating England is something that doesn't happen very often in the Sevens game, but fair play today. Fully deserved the win. Quite simply, England are looking atrocious, not looking good at all. And it says a lot about the Sevens series. You're probably looking at that England are most likely going to be in the Shield or the Bowl up against Hong Kong, which would be an awesome encounter, because I actually think Hong Kong will give them a good run for their money.
Another surprise result nobody was really expecting was Portugal against Samoa.
Yep, indeed. I mean, sorry to repeat myself, but at the end of the day, these teams are all beating each other. And Portugal are the new team in the series, which proves that allowing these new teams in is working. So it's nice to see someone like Portugal win a game.
Okay, now Australia, you wouldn't exactly call it an upset, but a big result for them.
I'm surprised to hear that you've called it an upset as an Australian, but no, I mean, I actually picked South Africa as the team on form. They've just come from the last IRB 7 Series win in Vegas. I thought they'd be a contender, and again, that looks like we're looking at England and South Africa in the bowl or the shield, which says a lot about the standard of the 7 Series in itself.
Well, Andrew, as we watch this march past continue, yes, I did use the word upset with Australia, who are now coming out, but the fact is they were strong in sevens in the 1980s, but really, the last couple of decades, nobody really expects Australia to come to Hong Kong and actually win this tournament.
No, but I mean, Robbie Deans has made it a major point that he wants the sevens program to work in Australia. It brings players through into the 15s games. You look at O'Connor now, who's a main player for the Wallabies starting 15. He's come through the sevens program. There's no doubt about it. The game of sevens tests skill, conditioning, reading of the game, and all just the basic skills of the rugby game in itself. Anyway, so why would you not use it as a program to bring players through the game? And young guys, how good is it? Big crowds. You can see the mentality of guys, how they deal with the pressures. It's just the way forward, and I don't understand why a country wouldn't. And you don't see Ireland here, which I find bizarre. It really is the best form of the game to develop players.
That's often been the criticism of teams like Australia, that they have purely used the Hong Kong Sevens as a way of blooding new players instead of taking it a little more seriously. Can you see that more on the horizon with sides like Australia, that they will up it another level?
Oh, well, I think Australia are a prime example of a country that have done it. And the unusual thing now, the game is becoming, and well, in fact, is marketed in a different way, that they now look at sevens as specialists. The England team, for example, you very rarely see an England sevens player move on to the 15-a-side game. Where in New Zealand, I don't know the exact numbers, and I understand it's around the high 30s to low 40s of number of players who've come through Gordon Titchens alone and gone on to be full-on All Blacks. So why would you not use it? You've got nothing to lose. You've got a squad of 12 guys, big atmosphere, big crowds, good competition. So why not get them out there, test them out, and you find out very early if a player is going to make or break it, basically.
Okay, if you look at the Sevens World Series at the moment, you mentioned before, we're getting to the point now where almost any side can beat any side, and that is reflected. If we just take a look at what's happened so far. Australia, we had Fiji winning. Dubai was Samoa. In South Africa, New Zealand took the title. In New Zealand, it was England. Then South Africa won in USA. It really has gotten to the point where it's completely unpredictable.
I mean, was it 5 tournaments, 5 different winners? I think it's only New Zealand that have qualified for the quarterfinals of the Cup competition consistently. Only South Africa have actually gone through a whole tournament without a defeat, which just says a lot about this game. Now, maybe it's because these guys see each other week in, week out. They're starting to understand each other. But the simple fact is the game is growing so much. And even in the second tier tournament here we've got going on, I mean, how strong does Russia look? Japan are looking good. All these teams, that they're just busting a gut basically to get to London, have a good crack at getting on the series. Because without a doubt, once you're in, you're developing. So Kenya again, they've come through a cycle and are looking strong again.
Okay, well, New Zealand, as I mentioned, have only won one of the events on the Sevens World Series so far, but they lead the overall series by a country mile. They have 96 points. Then it's South Africa, Samoa, Fiji, France in descending order, and then Kenya, Argentina, Wales, England, Canada, etc. Australia not in the top 10. The series to come, Japan, Scotland, and then finishing up in England on May the 11th and 12th. So if we look at this year's draw, we can just find it here. So, Andrew, what's interesting is, of course, the way the groups work. The next matches we have for that last match, we saw South Africa, Australia. Australia finishing 21-12 winners over South Africa. Not just the win was unexpected, but certainly the scoreline as well. Australia, though, they take on Argentina. Now, after what Argentina did to South Africa, the Aussies will not be taking that game lightly.
Certainly not. I mean, I think it's that's Group A, I think, and it's most certainly the group of death. I was talking to some of the Hong Kong players, and they were just hugely relieved not to be drawn into Group A. But when you condense 16 teams, that when you have a tournament, a series which has gone as it has, there really isn't any games. The fact that England have lost form, as soon as you drop out of that top 8 in the series, you find yourself in the bowl and the shield, which is very difficult to get out. So that group, Argentina looked very good last night. Australia looked good today. South Africa disappointed. So I personally, I can see Argentina taking South Africa.
Just back to England, you mentioned they really did play below par. The surprising thing is they came here with a pretty strong squad.
They did. There's actually no real explanation to why they're playing so poorly, to my knowledge. So they've come in here. I think teams are moving up. World Cup is not far away. And we're also at the stage now where the game has become so professional that this is the 6th tournament where they played each other. So guys get figured out. For example, Dan Norton-Knight, we all know he's a quick player and he's being shut down. He's the main weapon for England, and I think teams are now getting more switched on. More analysis is going on in the sevens game, which probably a year, 2 years ago didn't exist so much. So it's moving up as a technical sport as well, in terms of people analysing other teams, and the footage is there now. It's all live, so there's no reason why teams can't analyse other teams prior to playing them.
Hong Kong have had a fairly frustrating weekend so far. They came up against their old bogeyman, Canada, and didn't do too well with them. But you had an interesting interview with Dai Reese after that game, and he does still maintain a fairly positive attitude.
Look, Hong Kong have not come into this event delusion to the fact that they're going to beat everyone. They've joined basically 15 professional teams. They've come in as an amateur team, and last night, you know, we're playing Fiji here. They've won the tournament numerous occasions. They're a world-class team. They're a bit hot and cold at the moment, but they were playing Fiji. So today, Canada was a really good test. A good, solid core team that have come in, played consistently. And you know what? They give or take a couple of bounces of the ball, they should have probably won that game. But there's no doubt about it. They would have targeted Spain as the game to win. Canada would have been a fantastic bonus, would have put them in the cup comp. So, yeah, I think Dai should be happy. He certainly seemed happy, which seems strange for a win, but he was happy to the fact that a performance was given. Last night, not so great, and you can't sugarcoat it. The boys missed tackles, things didn't go to plan, but today, against Canada, a very good team. Things worked out, boys got stuck in, made their tackles, things were sticking, and you know, Tom McQueen finished 2 excellent tries. Well-worked team try, the first one, and just some great footwork for the second one. So, you know, Hong Kong have got a chance. They're not a poor team. They're well conditioned. They're in good shape. They've had good preparations in traveling over to Africa, to Zimbabwe for a tournament. So, you know, there's not really any excuses on the fact that, yep, they've got day jobs and that they train at night. So, fair play to them. They had a good go at Canada. If they can get a good win in Spain, then, you know, I think they'd look at this as a real positive tournament.
Okay, well, we still have a bit of time to fill, so perhaps let's play Where Are They Now? Now, when you think of Hong Kong, honestly, over the last 5 years, you think of Keith Robertson.
I mean, Keith, he's a class little player. You know, the South Stand will be missing him. Well, half the South Stand, all the ladies will miss him. He's a real heartthrob. Keith's gone on to the Cathay Pacific cadet course, which is great for him. I think he'll struggle not to come back into the sevens squad, because quite simply he was, you know, a real playmaker for us. Jamie Hood stepped up brilliantly, actually, to a South Island school teacher. He stepped into the fly half role, and you know, I don't think Keith's missed. Jamie's very different, but it would be great to have both of them in the squad who can mix up a game, whether you want to go physical with Jamie or you want to have a more open game with Keith. So it would be nice to have Keith back.
Now let's look at England. Ben Gollings, who has spent many years playing here in Hong Kong. He's, from what we hear, is up in the commentary booth this year, but he's been doing a bit of travelling as well. Yeah,
he has been. I think he's probably sitting up there quite frustrated, because Ben's in pretty good nick still, looks after himself, and to be honest, he could probably be done out there in terms of a bit of experience and steady the ship, because you know, he was a class player. he could definitely do with it. It looks like there's a lack of leadership out there in the England team, but the great thing for the Asian region is he's got himself involved with Sri Lankan rugby, and he's making really big difference. Not seen it personally myself, but the feedback I've heard, he's come in, he's changed the mentality of the team, the structure of the team. Sri Lanka are a sleeping giant. They get 16,000 plus players to local games. You know, it's a big sport, you know, behind cricket, obviously, but the fact that someone like Ben's going down there and he's making a very tangible difference to that makes it's exciting for Asian rugby, because quite frankly Sri Lanka should be doing better than they are, and I think we will see them next year in the Asian 7 series moving up the table, because you know he's a wealth of knowledge, he has a infectious character in terms of work ethic. He's a personal trainer, I believe, in his personal life, so a real clever, shrewd pickup from the Sri Lankan Rugby Union, I think.
Now, a few people know the Hong Kong system and many of the Hong Kong players better than you do. What's the next step for Hong Kong? You know, we see them come here, you get unlucky in the draw, you come up against a strong side, they don't go through. It's always a learning experience for Hong Kong, but are there plans to take it to another level, to make it even more professional? What more can they do?
I've always felt very sorry for the Hong Kong team, because I think people lose concept of actually who they're up against. This is 15 professional teams that they're playing against now. Now, they have an opportunity in London as the World 7 Series, the Asian 7 Series winners, which is credit to them themselves. They basically finished top of what they can finish top of. They now have a great opportunity to go to London. If they finish in the top 3 of that competition in London, which is a similar structure to what Hong Kong is now, they have the opportunity to go professional. And credit to the Hong Kong Rugby Union now, they've developed now what is probably a pool of 40 to 50 players who can compete at a high level from the 15s and the 7s game. Where in the past, you'd probably have around 20 players who are playing both forms of the game. At the moment, the 7s players that we're seeing today, the 12, are not involved in the Asian 5 nations. Which in the past there was no way you could do that, and quite simply they were the 12 best players that Hong Kong had in terms of usually back row and backs. So the game's definitely moved on for Hong Kong in terms of the volume of quality players we have, and I think if Hong Kong were to qualify for the 7 series, which they have a very good chance of doing, you think how good Rowan Varty is on the world stage. Think how good he would be if this was his job full time. Keith might stop flying aeroplanes for a year. You go the McQueen brothers, for example, they're all in great shape, but they're doing it in their own time. So this becomes their job. I generally believe we have you could almost call it the golden generation now of Hong Kong local players that could go out there, perform on the world stage, and it's quite an exciting opportunity for them. I don't think they would win a tournament, but I certainly think they could be a top 10 sevens nation, there's no doubt about that.
Well, fitness is the main thing, that you hit the nail on the head, because they are extremely fit. The standard is incredibly high. But what is the standard like now compared to, say, when you first started watching this event on TV as a kid? You're a Hong Kong boy, so you've been watching this before you've even started playing it. What is the difference in physical fitness between then and now for the Hong Kong guys?
I mean, I think now the game's gone professional. I'm looking at now, and I frequently ask the question, do you miss it? You can get out there and have a go. And quite frankly, there's no way in hell I could. The game has moved on incredibly. It's quicker, it's stronger, the physicality is there. The size of these guys now, probably when I was playing, the average weight was probably about 85 kg. It's probably 95 to 100 now. So quite simply, these are professional athletes. And if you want 8 nations such as Hong Kong to compete, they have to go professional. And you can see it right now. Portugal, it's not really a surprise to a rugby follower that they're doing as well as they're doing, because they've been professional now for 6 to 7 months, and you can start seeing those results. Kenya is another example, which is probably more of a longer example, in that they've been professional in the 7 series for a very long time, and no longer now when they beat an England or a New Zealand is a surprise. They're professional players, it's what they do, and they are now a core team. So Hong Kong have got to, if they're going to compete, they've got to go professional. It's as simple as that.
We saw a new face in the Hong Kong team this year, who spent a bit of time playing in Newcastle.
Yeah, Eddie Jasendi is probably the most unlikely looking Geordie boy that you'll see. He has a Geordie accent, I believe he's originally from Nigeria, but Hong Kong has always lacked, probably since the departure of Paul Dingley, a genuine ball winner. Ennie is a fantastic player, he's played for the Kowloon club here in Hong Kong, and he's a fantastic defender, fantastic off kickoffs and line out. So it's fantastic that we've got him in here. It's the program here in Hong Kong where we don't have the physicality of the local players to come through, and therefore we're relying on players who are making commitments with their work life to come to Hong Kong. And Ennie is certainly a class act who's come from a professional background in Newcastle, and I was really quite excited to see him in the squad because I think we genuinely needed a ball winner off kickoffs.
Okay, and this also is a very big year for Sevens. We have the World Cup happening in Russia in June.
We do. I mean, the World Cup is... what's interesting is you're now seeing teams like South Africa lose and England lose, which is probably the time when you don't want to be losing form prior to World Cups. And Hong Kong obviously are going to the World Cup, so this is a great bit of preparation for them to have a good crack at the big boys. You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Russia, because at the moment you can't really say that someone's going into that tournament as the hot favourites.
Okay, so the kids are coming off the pitch, along with some of the grown-ups who volunteer their time in Hong Kong, the dads who get stuck into what is an incredibly well-organised youth system in Hong Kong. Now, just before we go to a break, just a reminder about our TVB online game, which started this morning at 8, runs through until 9 p.m. tomorrow. There's the question: how many teams take part in the Hong Kong Sevens? 24, 26 or 28? You can play this game on tvb.com.
Did you see that? The whole house came apart.
The Earth's 23-degree tilt gives rise to dramatic and unpredictable weather patterns and may have caused a shift in human history. Wednesday night, Orbit Earth's Extraordinary Journey, the last episode, at 9:30 on Pearl.
MasterChef is a global phenomenon.
We've invited MasterChef judges from 3 different countries.
I didn't like the sauce very much.
I'm just as embarrassed by the dish as you are.
The second prawn that I had has not been clean.
Sunday night, MasterChef at 8:35 on Pearl.
The Old Age Living Allowance has 3 phases for application. Now is the second phase, postal submission. Elderly persons who did not receive notice during the first phase and are receiving the Old Age Allowance, or aged 65 or above and receiving the Normal Disability Allowance, should receive yellow notification letters issued on March 25 by the Social Welfare Department. For details, please call 3595-0130.
咦，巨浪大師薯片，邊包先至係我嘅金牌之選？
A 2-minute indulgence
of a few of our favorite things.
Dolce Vita PS, every Tuesday and Wednesday night before the news roundup on Pearl.
Conceived over 30 years ago, Chinese one-child policy is said to be effective in controlling its bulging population. But over the years, countless women have suffered induced abortions and infanticide, ruining entire families. The Pearl Report, Monday night at 8.
Welcome back live to Hong Kong Stadium for the Cathay Pacific HSBC Hong Kong Sevens 2013. Well, plenty of live action to come this afternoon. Before that, though, let's take a look back at the Women's Cup final between Canada and Australia.
Well, here's a very special event. It's the International Hong Kong Women's International Sevens final. It's very much a warm-up for next week in Guangzhou University, where all the top women's games teams will be playing in the official IRB Women's Series. And this is the final, which has been played during the day. It's between Australia and Canada. Referee is the international top referee women, Gabby Lee from Hong Kong. Australia have beaten the international selection 42-0. Kazakhstan 19-12, and in the Cup set final they beat Netherlands 17-5. Canada beat Hong Kong 33-0. They beat Japan 54-0, and in the Cup semi-final they beat France 28-0. So two great rivals here, and well, they've certainly been dominating this tournament, and immediately into the hands of Canada. The coach here, of course, John Tate, and good running here by Jen Kish. She's captaining the Canada side here. Support here from Kelly Russell of Toronto Nomads. And here, Ashley Stacey. Stacey, lovely break by here. This could be the first try. Ashley Stacey for Canada. Alongside me, Willie Losey. Terrific start by the Canadian women.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, and it just goes to show when you invest $1.5 million in a program to try and get a gold medal in 2016, you're going to get quality players and results like this. She did the rest, Ashley Stacey. She looked up and she had to evade a couple of tacklers. I'm sure that the Australians won't be pleased at their first up tackles, but that's a brilliant start for Team Canada.
And the famous woman of sevens rugby, Mandy Marshak, attempts the conversion but misses. Well, a great run there, and a good start for Canada. And of course, they've been in the tournaments, the official IRB women's tournaments. Canada in Dubai were 6th, and most recently in Houston they were 7th. Australia in Dubai were 4th, and in Houston they were 3rd. But they're really building up now to the tournament next week in Guangzhou in China, and of course at the end of that there will be the Rugby Women's Cup semi-final as well, alongside the men in Moscow. But now it's Australia coming back here, the reigning William Women's Sevens Championships. They beat New Zealand in 2009. And they will be one of the favourites again when they go to Moscow in the famous 1980 Olympic Stadium. Once again, Kelly Russell. Powerful break. Did well to set up the last one. And now it's Ghislaine Landry, and she's quick enough. No one to touch her. Ghislaine Landry. What a start by Canada this is.
Well, there are plenty of Canadian flags being waved in the south stand here at the Sokompo Stadium. And why wouldn't you be celebrating? Because you're playing against a very good Australian side. And look at that, the fend and then the feed from Russell. She popped it up. Landry came on a lovely angle. And what about that for a sidestep to beat the sweeper to run 25 metres to score their second try? This is clinical sevens rugby.
Well, I was reading what John Tate had said about his side. He said, you know, we've built up, we've been full-time playing, we're desperate now to do something and get into a final at least in Guangzhou next week. And they're staying here until Tuesday. They're going up to Guangzhou on the train on Tuesday. And they are determined to get into a final at least for this first official season of IRB Women's Sevens tournaments.
Well, that's just beautiful athleticism as well. Harvey was the girl that went up. This looked like it was going out. It was a borderline call. Geez, these women are just absolutely fantastic in the air. Look at this. This is classy. Now look at this. Straight up in the air, making sure that she caught the ball so that Australia didn't get the penalty for it not going required 10 metres.
Chantal Starr's okay. I thought she'd run into the advertising boards, but she's sister, of course, of who's playing for the New Zealand here, Sherwin Stowers. Chance here on the break on the short side. Good play. This time Rebecca Tavo. Into the hands now of Tiana Penitani. Brooke Anderson. Slipped away by Kobe Jane Morgan. Several of these Australians also were winners in the Rugby World Cup 15s, 2011. The kick away by Shani Williams. She's also been in the Rugby World Cup, but that was in 2010. Into the hands now of Magali Harvey. Good defence by her, but they need someone else to pick the ball up. And that Mandy Marchik just saved it there. Landry. Now, is it again? Ashley Stacey. Lovely cut inside, but a very good tackle coming in. Oh, and a knock on. Great pace, great pace. Terrific tackle by Brooke Anderson then.
She did well, didn't she, to get back the student and just covering her, and she knows how dangerous Stacey was off that right foot because she stepped her one time to get the try and she just followed her, just stayed inside shoulder.
Exactly the same as the men's game. Same size ball, same size pitch. And it's remarkable, hasn't it, the last 2-4 years or so, how the standard has gone up. I mean, tremendous athleticism here.
Well, just the way that they can just go into contact and keep the ball available. And look at this, they know the rules as well.
Inside, Stacey again. Kish again into the hands of Russell, Kelly Russell, Jen Kish. The new captain of the Canada side. Mandy Marchak it was before. Julianne Zusman, top scorer this time. Now it's Landry again. Ghislaine, oh, lovely step inside. Ghislaine Landry. And Canada's third try.
She's picked up a double in the first 7 minutes. One thing you can't coach in sport is class, and this is what this young lady has got, because she gets the ball, and have a look at this sidestep. I'll tell you what, the men would be proud to do this. Off the left, see you later, bang, gone. The sweeper had no chance, so she just coasts in. This is a wonderful Canadian side. Boy, are they treating this capacity crowd. There's some wonderful 7 skills. Look at the ball, and then just that step again, Nigel, that's wonderful.
And Marchak has taken the conversion as well. Tremendous first half by Canada. And, well, to this point in that tournament, which has been on all day, they have not yet conceded a point. 19-0 at the break. Canada on top.
Kevin Bacon stars in a groundbreaking television thriller.
Carlos teaching him how to become a serial killer.
The following, this April on Pearl.
There is a way back. There must be. There is no way home.
They're trapped far away.
What's the one do I dream? You.
Hello, Peter.
Why do we have the same dream?
This is the shape of the universe.
You're dealing with forces beyond your understanding.
Tuesday, Neverland at 10:40 on Pearl.
一啲都唔可以放過嘅威化 Adult Pack。 Sunday, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on Pearl's Weekend Blockbuster.
Come on, just a kiss.
No, someone could see us.
Well, what's around?
Well, hello. If you say so. Way to go, dude. Go get her, man. Go get her.
They may be small, but they're around all right. Gulliver's Travels, Sunday, April 7th on Pearl's Mega Movie.
Always following it behind, right? Keep counting numbers. Now it's really counts in communication. Okay?
Well, here's John Tate. He's done a great job with Canada.
We're a little bit spooked by the occasion.
Yeah, they're covering for reading and they're covering.
So it's our kickoff, right?
We're kicking.
Count on this side. Okay. Hey, lots of talk. Hey, work hard for each other.
John Tate was very much involved with the men's Canadian Sevens. Has become now the man in charge of the women. Here's Chris Lane, coach of Australia.